Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get all the latest updates. Here on the ground in Leh, in Ladakh, there is an eerie sort of silence, an atmosphere of uncertainty as everybody waits to see what happens next between India and China. An unprecedented violent face-off in which at least 20 of our men were assaulted by the Chinese using not guns, but stones, nails, iron rods. In many ways, as the anniversary of Kargil is upon us, there is a sense of deja vu, except this time the adversary is not Pakistan, but China. How should India respond? We came here to meet with someone very, very special. Colonel Sonam Wangchuk, often known as the Lion of Ladakh, a hero of the Kargil war, an officer with the Ladakh Scouts who famously climbed a mountain at 18,000 feet height. Vertical climb. Welcome, sir. Such a pleasure to be talking to you here on the ground, right outside your home in Leh. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Barkha. Thanks a lot.
I want to ask you, because you're somebody who has seen what it means to have an adversary on height and have to take that territory back from the adversary. When you see what's happening today, in some ways, does it take you back to Kargil?
Yeah, it does, because the situation, I think it is quite similar in the sense that these people, they are occupying tactical heights now. And we are definitely in a position of disadvantage because since these people, they have taken the initiative, they are deployed on the ground of their choosing. So therefore, definitely, the level of difficulty, and in case we want to dislodge the enemy from those heights, I think a lot of effort will be required in terms of, manpower and war wherewithal and resources.
Now, I just want to tell our viewers that the Battle of Chorbat was led by Sonam Wangchuk, who then retired from the army many years later as a colonel. He was a young, strapping officer then. But our men, even at that time, didn't have enough experience of mountain warfare. And they were climbing up jagged peaks. And if you look at these mountains all around you, this actually doesn't even give you a sense of what the battle up there is really like. These are benign, aren't they, Colonel?
Yeah, definitely. They are, very small heights. Generally, I would say these are hillocks in comparison to the mountains which we faced. And they were icy, frozen, and degree of difficulty was, it was tremendous.
So, your battle had to remove Pakistani troops from a height that they'd occupied at 18,000 feet. What was the toughest thing that you faced at that time? And I ask you this because that is the sort of toughness that our men would have had to go through in this standoff with the Chinese and may have to go through if there is a military response.
Yeah, firstly, as I said, their deployment, they were in a position of advantage because in case you see the mountains, when somebody is sitting on those heights, he's got a clear view of your approach. So he's covered you, and the ground in front, normally we call it the killing ground. So basically it is a killing ground, and you would see you don't have any sort of, concealment. There are no folds, nothing. It is absolutely plain. So I think in Galwan and the other places also, normally I've been to Pangong, so I was a company commander in one of the companies there. So I know the terrain there, and it is like this only. So in case you are approaching the enemy, you are a sitting duck, basically. You are a figure 11 target. So that is why, the Indian army, they suffered lots of casualties.
Can you tell us something about the lake area, the fingers area, since you have served there?
Lake area, these are, projections. In case you would have seen the Pangong, so towards India and across the Pangong. So across is the finger, which we are referring to as of now. So we have, finger-like projections. Basically, these are spurs which are coming down from the top towards the Pangong, so lake. So those areas, they are at a height of around 14,000 to 15,000 feet because basically the base also is around 14,000 feet. So those heights there, they'll be at a height of around 17, 18 and 19,000 feet generally.
Now, what does it mean for a soldier? I just want to remind our viewers that Colonel Sonam Wangchuk was awarded with the Mahavir Chakra for his gallantry during the Kargil war. And in fact, there are peaks or complexes. There's a Sonam 1 and Sonam 2 named after him as a tribute to his gallantry. You've been through this, but you are a Ladakhi. These mountains are in your blood. You can climb these mountains in a way that men from other parts of India, it's not organic to them, right? We don't have, or till Kargil, our men didn't have that exposure to this kind of mountain warfare. So what would our soldiers be going through, and what would they have gone through in Galwan Valley? One shudders to even think about it.
Yeah, definitely. The adversity of the climate and the terrain, and the fact...
Give us a sense of the temperature and the climate.
Yeah, temperature would be sub-zero. Sub-zero, and secondly, these people, I think most of them, they would not have acclimatized also. So in case you are not acclimatized, then I think it becomes very difficult. And hats off to the spirit of those soldiers who are there. In case, they have been, able to face the enemy in that sort of a difficult terrain. I really, want to pay my tribute to the soldiers who laid down their lives, and to their families who stood behind them through thick and thin. And I feel very sad for the loss which we suffered. 2-3 days back, I think, so 14, 15.
And yet it reflected the tradition of the army, where a commanding officer was at the front, and among those who lost his lives in the line of duty. Sir, I want to ask you, now what is the sentiment here among your community, vis-a-vis the Chinese? And I ask you this because I know you've gone from being a soldier who showed enormous grit to a man of meditation. You now do Vipassana. And when we were chatting earlier, you said, such an irony, he said, I'm not a violent man. Because what a soldier does on the battlefield is not violence. That is your duty, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so sir, what is the sentiment among your people, the local people here, the Ladakhis, vis-a-vis what's happening?
The Ladakhis, during Kargil also, they did a fantastic job, be it professionals, that's what I keep on saying, doctors, engineers, all these people, they are not very violent, but physically these people, they are tough because they are the sons of the soil.
Yeah.
So these people, they contributed in large numbers.
Yeah.
They did the logistics and the Adam work. And they carried, loads to the tune of around 35-40 kgs, and they braved those mountains.
A lot of the porters were Ladakhi, right?
They were Ladakhis. Many of them, most of them, in fact.
What is the sentiment about what's happening today?
Sentiment is definitely, we people are getting up. It's a sense of, surprise as of now. Nobody realized, this sort of a situation will happen so suddenly and so swiftly. But now people are coming to terms with it, and the local leaders and everybody, they are getting towards the situation, and we people are always there with the army, and people out here, they are patriotic. There's no doubt about that. So I think they will be in spirit, and in body they'll be with the army through this ordeal.
As a soldier, what would be your sense of what could happen next? What are the options available to the military on the ground, given the terrain, given the climate, given the heights that the Chinese, are reported to have taken and as yet have not completely given up on, and a lot of hard diplomatic negotiation will go on. A lot of details are also hazy in terms of whether there might be, there are more injured soldiers as well. So we are waiting for this picture to get clearer. What, as a soldier, with all your experience of removing the Pakistani intruders from a height of 18,000 feet, what would be your advice or what would be your anticipation of what might happen?
As I told you, we are in a position of disadvantage as of now. So in case, you have to dislodge these people who have occupied tactical heights, then a lot of resources in terms of, manpower, your force level will be required. And secondly, you have to have the backup of supporting arms like artillery. Because a number of times, wherever, like difficult terrains, like points like Tiger Hill and all those places, we had to use RT. And when RT was also not very effective, then there were
MBRLs, there were Bofors, there were multi-barrel rocket launchers, all of that.
Yeah, all of that. So we had to use them in a direct firing role. Normally artillery is supposed to be a, trajectory weapon, and it's an area weapon normally, and you fire it and thereafter it descends onto the target. So in this case, what they did was they used it as a rifle, straight away aiming towards the target and thereafter firing those shells, and that is why they were very effective.
But Colonel, if we are down to using RTs as direct firing mechanisms or even otherwise, then we're talking about a possible limited war.
Yeah, definitely, because dislodging these people from those heights, I don't think it is possible unless and until you use, the entire wherewithal which you have at your disposal. Otherwise, I don't think it will be possible to rush them from those mountains with small arms only, because these people, I think they've got the advantage of numbers also. And secondly, they are, on those heights. And secondly, they've got a clear and a fantastic view of your approach. So in my case, I would say I was very lucky because, in my case, it was a silent operation. You can call it raid basically. And the conditions, they were very, very favorable to me because the weather was very bad. It was snowing. And secondly, I had taken these people by surprise, because of that. So given all these things, and the enemy, they were, I think, slightly complacent also. I don't know. It depends on the situation as to how it evolves. And secondly, it depends on the commander on ground also.
So your sense is that small arms, hand-to-hand combat, which we've already seen, is not enough to dislodge the Chinese. If we go the military route, we will be using, at the very least, artillery.
Yeah. Because, we can't be sacrificing so many men. And these people, they're prepared.
And maybe that's why hard diplomacy or coercive diplomacy may be something that is tried parallel or first?
Yeah, definitely. It has to be a multi-pronged, effort from the nation side, the political leadership and diplomatic channels, military leadership. At the highest level, these people, they have to be involved.
Any last message you'd like to give to both the soldiers of our military and to the people of Ladakh and the people of India?
Yeah. I would like to say, firstly, the nation, that in this time of adversity and in this time of difficulty, I think everybody should be with the soldier because it helps you tremendously. I remember all these corporate sectors, sending stuff. There were t-shirts, small transistors coming to us. So when you receive these things, it is the spirit behind those, they may be very, very trivial and, very
but that
small
sentiment
things, but
matters.
Yeah,
what's the one thing that you'll never forget about Kargil?
Yeah, we had, incidents. We had a cricket match, I think it was on 4th or 5th of June between India and Pakistan. And India won. So we really celebrated that day. So,
and a cricket match here, you mean a different kind of cricket?
Yeah, that is.
Thank you, sir. It's such a pleasure talking to you. Colonel Sonam Wangchuk, the Lion of Ladakh, a Mahavir Chakra Gallantry Award winner, who knows something about mountain warfare because he climbed a vertical mountain at 18,000 feet and dislodged Pakistani intruders from there, telling us that the military route comes with challenges here. A military retaliation comes with challenges. It will not be possible in the routine course with small arms. You will have to expand the theatre of conflict and also the instruments of conflict. And that is something, obviously, the government is weighing very carefully as it considers its options. Because take a look at these mountains. This is the image we leave you with. This is the kind of terrain, and you can't even imagine it. These are hillocks, as the colonel said, compared to where the battle is really taking place.